Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking bourbon. All right, Ben, it's the end of the year. We're kind of in that week between Christmas and New Year's.
Special occasions, year-end video.
Yeah, everybody does their special video. We're going to do one of those, kind of talk about our year. This has been the year in which we started the channel.
Yep, yeah, this is our first.
We've done like, what, 80 videos?
I think this is going to be 79.
79?
I think so, if I remember correctly. So for kind of a year-end sort of thing, we're not going to get too crazy with the lists or whatever, but we got a couple of categories that we're going to maybe talk about some of our videos. Yep. And then to go along with that, we're going to drink a nice bourbon that we've never reviewed, and if I'm correct, you've never had.
I have never had this particular bourbon.
Well, let's bring it in. It is BAM.
BAM.
This is Old Rip Van Winkle.
The 10-year.
10-year of the famous Van Winkle line, Pappy Van Winkle line.
This is Buffalo Trace Mash Bill 3, their weeder.
Yep. We did the Lot B on the channel, which is the 12-year of this. This one's interesting because it comes in at 107 proof, whereas the Lot B was the 90 proof, 90.
I think it was 90.
It was in the 90s. Yeah. So you're getting 2 years less age, but a little bit higher proof. So we're gonna sip on this and do a little review of it, but also talk about our year. This is an open bottle.
Yeah.
So I have had this, it's been a while.
Sure.
And Greg, this will be your first time, so that's exciting. To be honest, I couldn't tell you really exactly what this tastes like. What's nice about it, just in the stats, is that we're both fans of Weller Antique 107 very much.
Correct.
So this is same mash bill, same proof, 10 years of age.
Yeah.
So you're probably getting a couple years more than the
107.
Than the 107. Yeah. So here's a little thing before we get into this.
Okay.
Speaking of videos and things to do, this is an open bottle. This has been sitting open for quite a while. I don't go to this one very often.
Yep.
And if it was sitting a little bit lower in volume, once it gets a little lower, drink it a little faster, because the idea is that the lower it gets in there, it can sit in.
The more air.
Yeah, and it affects the bourbon after a while.
Right.
We've got a video that we've been talking about doing that I think we're gonna do in January here, because that's when that bottle will reach its year-old age. Where we're gonna put that to the test. We've got a bottle that's been sitting with a little bit of.
So I have a bottle of Buffalo Trace, happens to be. I have not touched it in a year, January 2021, and it's down to like here. And I have another bottle of Buffalo Trace that is of the same kind of like run.
Bought them at the same time.
Yeah, not single barrels, but
same case, probably from the same batch.
Exactly. And so we're gonna see what a year-old bottle, if it makes a difference. And it's like 90% gone.
Yeah. So this one's been sitting for a while, but it's only had a few pours out of it. So that shouldn't really make a difference. So, all right, let's get into this one, and then we'll get into talking about our year and the next year coming up here. So anyway, look out for that video in January.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
That'll be one of those for science videos.
Yeah, of course, everything for science. Gotta really coat the glass.
Yeah.
I've noticed with all my bourbons now, I really make sure to do that so I don't just smell the dishwasher or
and the water. And
the clean glass, yeah.
Getting rich caramel notes.
Rich caramel, brown sugary oak, kind of that spicy oak. Little sting to it.
Yeah. 107 proof comes across. It's not a punch in the face, but you notice it.
Yeah. And you poured a little bit, right? Because these don't have to just be a little sampler size. We sip on these throughout the video.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's get into it, because this is exciting when we do a bottle like this. We did the Lot B, it was nice. But it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, realistically, what's this going to be like,
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's get into it. Cheers.
Cheers. It's got a lot of complexity.
Yeah, that's a really deep, rich, super, super rich.
It has an interesting black pepper note that I'm wondering if that's just the character of Buffalo Trace's
Mash Bill 3.
Mash Bill 3. Like, I get that a lot. It's a
They are wheaters, but we've talked about before. Wheaters are not without their spice.
Yeah.
But they're kind of known for being a little bit softer, and the high rye stuff is a little bit better known for having that black pepper and spice note.
Right.
But this definitely has that black pepper on the tail end of it.
Yeah.
Finish is still going.
It's got a really nice toffee. It's a complex wood sugars bourbon.
I was gonna say the wood sugar thing because it's got that strong oak note, but it's like sweet.
Yep.
And it's so sugary and sweet. It almost feels textured in a weird way. And it's got a little bit of that cherry frosting that I get off of Weller Antique 107.
There's a lot of richness here.
Yeah, this is you can tell by just the drinking this that this is it comes across as a very high quality. Like I would put this in a premium bourbon category for sure.
It's called Unicorn, and so.
But those don't always live up to that.
And we're gonna get into our list, and we may mention one or two unicorns. Good
or bad.
Yeah, good and bad. And this one's actually really, really nice. But it's hard to do a review on something that's almost impossible to find.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. You won this in a lottery last year.
Well, I won the option to buy it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so
Raising.
in the first time I had it, I was kind of like, I've only poured from this bottle like 4 times, and only one of those was for me. So I've only, everybody else has drank this more than I have, which is the best reason to have a bottle like this on hand. If you're gonna keep a unicorn on the shelf, you have friends over that are bourbon enthusiasts, and you get to share with them something that they've never had a chance to have, or just didn't want to pay $50 for a pour-up.
Yeah.
That's the best reason to have these on the shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I remember when I had it, I kind of said, and my friends agreed, it's kind of like, I'm a little disappointed that it's this good because now it definitely is not secondary price as good. It's not $800, $900, $500 even, or whatever.
Right.
I paid $100 for this, which is a little above MSRP.
But it's a cool bottle, and
MSRP doesn't exist for these anymore. Period. It just doesn't. So
No.
you just have to decide what it's worth based on what you're using it for.
Yeah.
If you just really need to have the whole collection and you want a trophy on your shelf forever, then maybe you'll pay $1,500 for it. But then you're missing out on the bourbon. So.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't pay $1,500 just to buy this and drink it. So it's kind of that balance, I guess.
I mean, yeah.
This is a super deep and rich, complex bourbon.
Yep. This is a bourbon, though, that'll hold up well, and you have a drink of it occasionally, and it's going to last a long time.
Yeah.
You're going to have this bottle for a long time.
Let's get into our list here.
Okay.
But before you finish that, as we sip on this, let me know.
Okay.
Or I guess pour a little bit more. That doesn't matter. He finishes the glass as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So
I'm a slow drinker.
We thought of a couple categories that we just thought might be kind of interesting to talk about. Just the bourbons that we've reviewed throughout the course of this year. Now, it hasn't been a full calendar year. That'll come up on March 25th.
March 25th was our first video that we released publicly.
Yep. But this was our first, 2021, our first year. So let's do a couple of categories. And we decided to do most interesting, biggest disappointment, and biggest surprise.
Yeah, and there may be more than one.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just one for each category, but just a couple that might fit in there. So why don't you go ahead and pick which category you want to do first. We're not going to lay out all the bottles either. I'll throw a little picture up on the screen for reference, which is going to be a pain in the ass. But
So for me, by far the most interesting / thing I'm in favor of for the year is just how well the channel's done. And we're expanding into a second phase.
Trying to get the Patreon up and running.
Well, there's that. And one way we're doing that is what we call Casual Friday. And they're not always on Fridays, but it's a more direct with the community. It's people who join our Patreon and others are able to actually, kind of almost do like a Zoom call type.
That's what we want to get to. Yeah.
Hang out and it's almost just have fun. We've said a number of times this is a kind of conversational bourbon, and we kind of want to actually take that to the next level and actually have a conversation with people, our fans, and just people who maybe don't have anybody in your neighborhood to hang out with and drink bourbon.
I feel like we've insulted them by saying fans.
But we kind of want to develop that kind of community.
Yeah,
that's the next
we should
step.
learn how to do that in a Zoom call thing.
We don't know how to do that yet.
In the meantime, though, Greg and I have done a couple videos that we've called Casual Friday, where it's just us drinking whiskey, smoking cigars, and still talking about bourbon, but we've put that up as kind of like a sideshow on the Patreon only thing.
Yeah.
So what about biggest surprise as far as a bourbon we've done?
Surprise. Okay. So I've had this thought for a long time, and we actually only did the video recently, and it was the Evan Williams flight. And this could be true of a bunch of other families of bourbon, but we went through the Evan Williams because they're kind of the same, right? It's the same mash bill and different ages for the different types of, the bottom blonde versus the single barrel.
Sure.
Or the kind of the small batch. And so it's a really good way to say, okay, what does additional age do to this bourbon?
Yeah.
And so you can really hone in on this is what the
that was a fun one.
Kind of like gives you. And so that was a really good video. I was really happy with how that came out because it really, the whiskeys are very similar, but you can really notice the difference based on which one you're drinking.
So you found biggest surprise was just the difference between each of those bottlings?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good video. I think we did a good job of explaining, this is kind of a cool experiment.
Okay. My biggest surprise of the year.
Nope, this is interesting, no surprise.
Oh, this is most interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my most interesting, so I have two.
That's okay.
That I really liked. One was the Dexter.
Okay. So I have one more, so I'll let you go ahead.
Oh, do you have another one in this category too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go back and forth then.
Yeah, okay.
So one of my picks for the
most
interesting was the Dexter Bourbon. That's the one that's only available in Minnesota, West Virginia, and parts of Ohio, I think, which is rare for us to get bourbons that are only available in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think if you were to actually do an algorithm on our channel where it can pick out the 3 most common phrases that we say, it would be, hey everybody, welcome to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg, I'm Ben. The second one would be, and today we're drinking bourbon. And the third one would be, this isn't available in Minnesota.
That's right, we have to drive elsewhere, which is okay because we both like road trips.
Yeah, but that one, I'm gonna look at the bottle here just to get the stats on it, it's straight bourbon whiskey, but it's finished with 200-year oak, maple wood, and cherry wood. Distillery called Brain Brew. And that one was just, you never know what you're gonna get with an unheard of, craft bourbon. And it was really interesting.
Yep.
We both liked it. I brought it over to a friend's house, a couple bourbon enthusiasts. Yeah. They both really liked it. So that's one of my two.
Cool.
All right, second most interesting.
So this one is gonna seem out of left field a bit. But it was actually I think it may be the last video you posted, was our Eagle Rare, which is a special guest appearance by the Buffalo Trace.
Oh, yeah. I kind of forgot we did the little Buffalo Trace comparison at the end.
Yep. And the reason why I like that one, I've obviously had Eagle Rare for a couple of years. My first ever bourbon/whiskey tasting, 5 years ago. Eagle Rare was in that flight. We had 9 bourbons or whiskeys in the flight and had people over and kind of just picked, whatever your favorite was. And Eagle Rare scored pretty high for me. But, we talked about this the other day. We're getting flavors out of Eagle Rare that seemed unique or new. And I think my perception of Eagle Rare is changing. And my perception of other whiskeys is, I think, also changing.
It's a learning thing. The more you get experience.
We're learning how to taste whiskey and get more out of it. And it's actually becoming a lot more fun. And the one kind of note on this is, if you ever taste a whiskey that you're not super in love with, give it time, because there may be a time when your opinion changes.
Sure.
And Knob Creek is a good example. I didn't understand Knob Creek a few years ago because I didn't really understand what the proof was doing. Yeah. But now I love it.
Yeah. So with the Eagle Rare, it scored high for you the first time you had it, but that's just
okay.
Okay.
But then this latest review, we're getting a ton out of it. It's a far more interesting
And Eagle Rare
whiskey.
is close to a single barrel, so there is some variation there. But that's even more fun. Yeah. When you can have a couple of different bottles of the same thing. Because they're always gonna be in the same family, but you get those different flavor notes that stick out in one direction or another.
How about you? Something else interesting.
So the other interesting one was the Burning Chair store pick. So Burning Chair is a Savage and Cook, and the regular Burning Chair is actually I didn't know this when we did the review of this, but it's finished in, let's see, Cabernet. Yeah. But the store picks are finished in 3 separate wine casks, and they are Cabernet, Grenache, and Zinfandel. And so the store picks are finished. The cool part about a store pick,
they kind of pick those ratios.
Pick the ratio. So this one that we did was 60% Cabernet, 30% Grenache, and 10% Zinfandel. And this one they chose to bottle at cask strength, which I think was a solid move. at 113 proof.
Yeah.
Super interesting. The same night I brought the Dexter over to some friends, I brought that one over. They loved it.
Good choice.
So yeah, that one was kind of a different one because I never had something finished in 3 separate wine barrels before. And then putting it out at cask strength was just awesome. So awesome. I might have to score another bottle of that when that one starts running dry. So, all right, what's our next category?
Next category is disappointing. And I struggle with this category a bit.
I think I just have the one on this.
I have to admit, I like bourbon. So it's hard to...
Hold the phone. Wait a minute, Greg. After all these years, how could you? I never would have guessed.
It's hard to say I'm disappointed. And the only thing I can come up with to say I'm disappointed is...
Before you say what it is, branching off on saying it's hard to say you're disappointed, my take on that is it's hard to say I don't like it. And it's got to be pretty bad for me to not like it.
Exactly.
But to say I'm disappointed, like I had expectations and it's just like...
So that's where I was going.
It could be either one of those. Either disappointed because you flat out don't like it, or disappointed just because it was something that you thought was going to go in one direction and it went completely. Because that's what mine was.
Or the hype / the secondary market price did not match, and I didn't pay secondary market.
Is that where we're going with this? Okay.
The hype doesn't justify the secondary market. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Well, none of them really do.
Well, I mean,
but
we're starting to learn that.
Yeah.
So in my case, we did a review recently of the Van Winkle Lot B. That's the 12-year. Similar-ish to this, lower proof.
Lower proof, yeah.
And it's a really good bourbon. Mm-hmm. But it's not worth any of the hype.
Right, so taking secondary prices out, because what I meant by that is like none of these are worth, just for the bourbon itself, none of them are worth the secondary prices. But the hype, is it worth the hype? Is it a good enough bourbon that it should be hyped up and it should be hard to find? And that one was just kind of, I remember you saying that you were a little disappointed with it because it felt like it was bordering on over-oaked.
Well, that was my concern, was it felt almost too done in the barrel. Like the oak was kind of harsh. And I worried about, is I've never had any of the longer age Pappies, the 15, 20, or 23. I've never had one. Mm-hmm. But what's a 23-year Pappy taste like if it's the same as that?
I've never had one of those either, and I have heard, there's a water up there, by the way.
Thank you. So that was my concern, though. And so putting that all together, high expectations, decent bourbon. Sitting here today, I wouldn't pay for it again. Like even $100 for Lot B, I wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah.
Because it's only okay. And right behind me, there are dozens of great bourbons in $50 or less.
Yeah.
That are honestly better.
And we've talked about that in a number of our videos, and here we are again with it. So that being said, this one, I like this one considerably more than I liked the Lot B.
Yeah.
And Lot B I liked the Lot B. It was a good bourbon. It was complex.
Yep.
But yeah, I feel like maybe the 2 years younger, but the higher proof on this.
Something, yeah.
But I mean, I really like this.
Yeah, this is really good.
It's got an edge to it though.
I'm really getting more of the cherry now.
Yeah. Would you agree that this kind of has a sharpness to it?
So for me, it's the black pepper note kind of stands out when you first taste it, and then the sweet cherry on the finish is what I'm really noticing.
Okay, nice. So my most disappointing bourbon was Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. Mm-hmm. So I'm really an Elijah Craig fan. Mm-hmm. Just even the regular small batch is one of my, favorite kind of go-to, budget friendly, not super high proof, just like a good average, always available. Yeah. Love it. So I was really excited about the Toasted Barrel. And there was just something about it and I know a lot of people liked it. Like the reviews that I saw, people really liked it. Mm-hmm. Some of the notes that some people picked up, I could see. Yeah. But the overall thing, it just didn't work. It was so off profile from regular Elijah Craig. I've liked it a little bit more the more I've sipped on it. Yeah. But still, it was just like, I like just the regular sub $30 small batch more than I like that $50, $60 bottle. That was very hard to find.
Sure.
So yeah, that was mine. That one just didn't hold up to And some of that is my expectation. Sometimes it's kind of like going into a movie that you really are excited for, and it's like you put your expectations so high that you're almost bound to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I did that with this, but it's, it kind of gets to that, like these bottles.
Yeah.
You have a high expectation because there's so much hype, and then is it that it's not a good bourbon, or it doesn't just live up to your, what you want it to be? So
Well, I kind of agree. That's kind of how I feel about the.
low on that, so you got to do this here.
Oh, you want to do a second pour? I figured that's where we were going.
Yeah. Same mash bill, same proof, right?
It's a good.
We're gonna bust these out. Let's bust them out, right?
That's right. But so in that same vein, we also recently did a review of Elmer T Lee, and that one was unique.
You know what? I would put that in that same. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
That's good.
I would agree in that vein as well. Elmer T Lee, it was probably my second one.
Yeah.
Second, if I were to do, one above the other.
I think we called it a one-hit wonder. Like, it had a nice punch, and there's nothing bad.
I think One Trick Pony was what we went with.
Yep. And it's not a horrible bourbon. If that's all you had, be perfectly happy with it.
No, it's perfectly fine. But I think I said in that video, I would put Evan Williams 1783 up against that, to be perfectly honest. I really would.
Lots of bourbons that, compete, and they're without the hype. And I mean, obviously this is a Buffalo Trace kind of unique issue, but the hype is just eating them up. And they make really good bourbon, and occasionally they have stuff like you and I both said this is one of the best ever. Like, we absolutely
love this. Yeah,
and this is great.
Yeah.
I have the George T. Stagg that I consider the best bourbon that I own.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so there are some that live up to. I love Weller Antique 107.
Yeah.
I really do. And I really, really like this too. So that's why I'm excited to kind of pit these against each other here. But yeah, it's unfortunate that these got pushed out the way that they did.
All right, next category is surprising.
Surprising. Okay, so you go first, because let's keep the back and forth here. Yeah.
So we did a review, and this sounds like such a minor review. We did Evan Williams 1783 versus Evan Williams 1783.
Oh yeah, the old bottle versus the new, the 86 proof versus the new 90 proof, and the fancy new bottle.
And they were quite different.
Yeah, noticeably different.
And during the course of, I think it was that video or another time when I had the new bottle, the 1783, that became one of my favorite bourbons of the year. Like, I absolutely love it. I've sought it out. It's not available in Minnesota. Well, it now is, but at the time it wasn't available in Minnesota with the new bottle.
There's that phrase again, not available in Minnesota.
It's our catchphrase.
So is that being one of your favorite bourbons of the year? Is that like just based on, I just love the taste of this, or is it based on it's available, it's budget friendly, it's not hyped up, and it's just something where you're not expecting at that price point and availability for something to be as good as it was for you?
That's hard to answer, because I like all those things. Like, I feel that bourbon, I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually like bourbon.
Yeah, dun, dun, dun.
And I've thought about this a lot, and I feel like that phrase sometimes is a little bit off-putting, because alcohol.
I like bourbon?
Yeah, because alcohol has the, on one side your fear of alcoholism versus, all kinds of... And if you suffer from alcoholism, I'm so sorry, because I think alcohol's great.
Yeah.
But I have zero dependency on it.
Yeah.
And so I can't relate to drinking.
It's got to be something that, not everybody can.
And so, sorry about that, but I'm okay with not go a week without drinking, or more than that. But I genuinely like to have a pour of bourbon occasionally. And so, it's not that it's inexpensive because I can't afford it. It's inexpensive because that's just the price point, and it's so good that anytime I drink anything that costs more than Evan Williams 1783, I wonder why.
Yeah, some of them, for sure. I mean, when you drink George T. Stagg, you don't wonder that.
Well, exactly. There's some unicorns and some special ones.
Or like Rare Breed, for example.
Exactly. If it justifies it. If it's a 10-year or some other, so high proof.
We should add a category to this, or do a video. I've actually thought about this before. Spoiler bottles, where it's the bottle that you drink, and then you're like, why would I pay $10, $20 for something that costs more than this that I don't like as much?
Yeah.
But the answer is we want to try all the bourbons, you know? And I want all of them on my shelf, and sometimes you just like the variety and flavor, but Rare Breed is one of those bottles where like, it's pretty tough to beat with anything, and there's things that cost $30 more than it that, you know, it's like, at the end of the day, why don't I just drink this every day? And
earlier this year...
Did you go to the Weller?
I did. Man, I think there's more happening in that one. Who was it? Matt? What's ADHD?
Matt Porter.
Porter.
Hello, Matt.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for watching.
I doubt he's watching.
He's watching. He's watching. He's picking up so he had a top 5 category, or the 5 bourbons you own at any one time.
Yep, that we did.
And so we did our version of his video categories. And we added a 6. And it was the bourbon that everyone's wrong about, but it's kind of like that. It's kind of that spoiler that at the time, and I still feel this way, the Old Tub, at least for me.
Yeah, Old Tub's kind of a 50-50. I think you love that or you hate that.
Yep.
There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of middle ground on
there seems to be a lot of...
On the internet, that's weird. There's not a lot of middle ground going on.
Reasonable arguments. Thank you for your opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there are some bourbons that, I mean, after that review of Eagle Rare, I said I think it's underpriced. At the $35 range, I mean,
it's 30 for sure, yeah.
It's a 10-year-old, good-looking bottle that, you know, I don't care what it used to be called or used to cost.
Everything used to be cheaper than it is now.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to tell you my best surprise of the year after I sip this Weller one more time here. I don't know if I'm getting more off of the Weller.
I'm getting different notes. This is more kind of chocolate and ooh, I almost said the S word.
See, I don't find anything really smooth about this. I think it's got a nice bite to it.
It does, but I feel like it's got a really nice curve of the flavors. Where this one has more, like, maybe more flavors, but it's almost like popcorn that's like bouncing around.
I feel like the Weller...
This one is more balanced.
Yeah, I feel like the Weller, after drinking this one, has a sharpness to it that it doesn't normally have.
Yeah, I would agree.
Which is weird. But I feel like this one, the Rip Van Winkle, is a little bit more layered. A little more
I feel
complex.
like this has a little bit more of a caramel flavor that kind of binds it together.
I mean, they're similar, though.
Yes.
I mean, they're obviously the same mash bill, same proof. I mean, you're probably talking realistically a couple years difference in the barrel.
And a different floor of the rick house.
Yeah, it's barrel selection as well. I think the Rip Van Winkle comes out on top for me for different reasons.
I agree.
So this is a bourbon that we already love.
Yes.
And now we're saying this stupid bourbon that we can never find anywhere, we also love.
Yes.
Damn it.
Yeah, I agree.
This is why you have to have your surprise bottles that you absolutely love. So that'll bring me into what my surprise of the year was.
Okay.
This is the first year I got to try not a rare bourbon at all, but catchphrase, not available in Minnesota.
Oh, that catchphrase.
Early Times Bottled in Bond.
Yes.
That has become one of my forget all the, price point, available, whatever. It's one of my favorite bourbons to just as a go-to pour. That one for me, our Bottled in Bond flight against
we had
7 other.
Kind of a budget Bottled in Bond and a little bit medium price.
It beat E.H. Taylor, it beat Henry McKenna, it beat 1792, it beat Old Forester Bottled in Bond.
Yeah.
So for me, that one was my favorite. So anytime I'm in a state where I can get a hold of a bottle of that, before Sazerac gets a hold of it.
I wonder what the status of that is.
I know. I'm going to have to just hoard all the Brown Foreman juice that I can, because that's been one of my favorite bourbon finds. Because sometimes a good bourbon hunt is when, we've talked about this, it's not when you find a rare one like this one like this. I mean, that's a great bourbon hunt, don't get me wrong. But it's when you try something new and then you find out that you love this amazing bourbon that's $25 for a liter. I mean,
totally.
that's a success right there.
Absolutely.
Right? So, all right, speaking of success, what are we, aside from the Patreon and stuff like that, what are we looking forward to here?
So, look, I'm sure you did the same thing over the past couple of days. Looked at our YouTube channel, looked at the list of videos. And certain videos get more views than others. A couple of the bourbons with particular name and title attract a bit of attention. Blanton's and others. Buffalo Trace stuff, kind of. I mean, there's people looking for those, and they see our videos. Thank you for watching. But I think our flight videos do really well.
Yeah, those have done pretty well. It's weird because like these videos seem to do well, the expensive ones and the rare ones, but then I think like our budget ones do well too.
I agree, yeah.
And I think maybe the reason for that is, and maybe the flight, but we've only done 2 flight videos, the Bottle and Bond and the Evan Williams. Well, no, we've done 3. We've done the 4 Roses. That was one of our first videos, so go back and watch that. But when I first got into bourbon tasting and collecting and hunting and whatever, a lot of what I was actually looking for in reviews, like I didn't need to see a review of Pappy because A, I wasn't going to get it, or B, if I saw it at the price, I was going to buy it for sure. What I wanted to know is like, okay, this Evan Williams single barrel, it's fairly inexpensive, kind of a cool bottle, looks like it's aged about 8 years, but is it any good? And I wanted to hear people talk about that, like those easier to find ones. So, you know, kind of geared towards people that are maybe just learning a little bit more. You know?
And we did a Wild Turkey 81 versus Wild Turkey 101.
Yeah.
I think that's a great video. We do more of those. Because there are people, you know, what's the difference? And those are bourbons that they can find. And I think there's value in that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if you're still watching this video at this point, I mean, realistically, people kind of scrub around through YouTube videos, but if you are, let us know what you liked. If you know, we love comments. We love it when people comment. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you want to see more of. Let us know what we've never done that you want to see, because that really would be the funnest thing for me, is just hearing from people. What they want to see or what they like and would want to see more of. So, all right. Do we have anything more to cover on this? I think that is all.
All right. Well, this video is coming out on Thursday, so that means that New Year's Eve is tomorrow, so everybody have a safe and happy New Year. Thank you very much for all the people. I think we're at 286 or something subscribers. So all 286 of you, thank you very much, and the thousands of views. It's been a lot of fun, and so we're going to do a lot more
to next year
in 2022. Yeah, so cheers to next year. Have a safe and happy New Year, and we will see you, well, in a week or so. All right, cheers, everybody.
Is that how we're gonna end it?
Sure.
Okay.
Why, did you want to do like fireworks or something?
Well, yeah, can we do fireworks?
Hold on a second. Ready? 3, 2, 1. That's probably enough fireworks, right? Okay. Happy New Year.